this table runner laying around that was way too long for any table I had in my house. So I decided to cut it down. And after I cut it down, I had some excess of that table runner. And that happens to me sometimes. I'll have some extra little quilted bit that I end up not using for something, and I save it aside. And the other day I was looking for a birthday card. I didn't have one, and I thought, well, I guess I could maybe use some of that old quilt and make just a gift tag, which is exactly what I did. So these are some of the extra ones that I made that day. And I simply took this quilted bit of fabric that I'd done all these fun decorative stitches on, cut out a tag shape, and put a zigzag stitch around it, not a satin stitch, just a zigzag, and ironed on a piece of white fabric that I could say to and from on, and then put a grommet in the end of it that I strung some wonderful hand-dyed ribbon through. So I'm going to kind of just walk you through that real quick. It couldn't be easier, and it's very fun to do. Not only could you give these as your on a gift to mark the to and from for that gift, but you could actually you could actually give these as gifts. You could make a stack of them and give them to somebody as gifts, which is kind of cool. The nice thing is that if your quilt is very thin, then they can be used as bookmarks after you've finished using them as gift tags. So I'm going to show you how to do one here. And on this one, I have something going on this fabric that is kind of cool. Right here, I've got this bit of rickrack that's hanging out here, and a stitch here on top, and I think I'm going to use that as an edge. And this is the binding that was left over. I'm going to use that as an edge. And so on this one, I'm not going to do the zigzag. I'm simply going to cut this out. And I don't want to cut off that rickrack. I just want to cut to that rickrack. But then I'm going to fold that rickrack back and cut it out, excuse me, and cut out that excess batting behind there and backing. Cut it flush with that stitching that's happening there. If I can get a hold of it. Let's try that. There we go. And then I'm going to have a nice stitched edge already there from the stitching I did before, and that rickrack hanging off that edge. So we've got that rickrack hanging off, the stitch line there to finish it. This already has a binding on it. So now I'm just going to cut my angle here. And to do that, I'm going to kind of put this and see how big it is. It's 2.5 inches. So if I put it over here, so I've got 1/4 of an inch past this line, 1/4 of an inch past that line. I know this line is my center. And I can kind of eyeball cutting an angle here. And that's all I'm going to do is eyeball. I'm going to cut an angle to about the middle of that square, there, and about the middle of that square, there. Oh, I don't like that angle, so I'm going to fix it. There we go. Okay, so that's my tag shape, and now I'm going to cut out my white fabric. So I've got some white fabric here that I have put some Misty Fuse on the back of, and I like it to have a little bit of a wavy edge rather than just a straight edge, but you could do a straight edge if you wanted to. And I'm going to turn this over and iron this to the back. Get that iron on. So I'm going to put it on the back of this so that I can write to and from, depending on how I want to put it. I think I'll put it here, right there on the bottom. And then I can use, I can use a fabric marker if I have fabric markers on hand. But if I don't have fabric markers on hand, then I can just use a ballpoint pen if I want to. It's just a gift tag. All right. So now I'm going to put my grommet in. And this is a little tool called a crocodile. And it's basically a grommet setter. And here's the grommet I'm going to use. So on one side here, it's got a little hole punch. So I'm going to insert that and put the hole for the grommet right there. And it kind of cut right that out, and then I'm going to put the grommet in there. And then I'm going to insert this portion of it into the grommet and squeeze. And it will set that grommet for me, like so. Now I've got a grommet set in there, and I'm going to put a ribbon in. Couldn't be easier. So I think I'll go with this color here. And I'm going to get about, oh, I don't know, 12 inches doubled. And then I'm going to double it again, so it's quadrupled. And I'm going to push that fold through. And then open it up here and pull that through, just like so. And pull. And then clip. And there I go with my great quilted gift tag. Great way to use up old quilted bits, or make your own quilt up and cut it into pieces and make wonderful gift tags out of it that your friends can then turn around and use as bookmarks. They're very fun.